I want to start by welcoming you and inviting you into this space in a way that involves grounding and centering. So just take a moment right now, inviting your body to just be where it is without too much evaluation. I work with a lot of techniques involving mindfulness and social emotional learning, and the number one consideration starting out is really how we're experiencing and inviting this moment. And if I think about it, I start to realize that this moment is all I have in terms of appreciating the present, because I could spend my time ruminating about the past or really thinking about the future and starting to worry about it. But the harness of my presence in this moment right now is what ends up giving me more agency and authority over this time and the opportunity that it presents. So I share that because Jon Kabat-Zinn has been one of my mentors in mindfulness, and he often frames that idea of really being in the now and embodying what would be a choice to embrace the possibility of right now, if we could just drop in on this moment and appreciate it. So in appreciating the moment, the definition he would give for mindfulness is to be present and use our senses for awareness. So dropping in on awareness of the present moment right now on purpose and without judgment. And it's that last part, without judgment, that's really hard for everybody. So actually using some levels of social emotional learning and mindfulness, it's not easy. Some people think, oh, this is about relaxation, but I actually find the more I pay attention, the harder it is sometimes to really drop in on this moment and be aware and try to suspend our judgment and our criticism of ourselves and others. So I'm inviting you right now just to play with that idea. Just keep that in mind as you're inviting yourself into this physical space where we're sharing. It's also virtual, but wherever you are, just to invite yourself right now to just do a little exercise with me, an introduction to mindfulness, which would start when you just notice the way you're sitting. If you're sitting in a chair, like my office chair has a little neck rest, I'm just aware of the way it feels, and not necessarily leaning back, because you might fall asleep, which is not the goal, but maybe even just resting on the chair comfortably and feeling its support, being conscious of its support. And just with a breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, just feel yourself start to settle into the environment and invite a little more ease. So that word ease, with a second breath in and a breath out, just inviting yourself to roll your shoulders back. And as you roll your shoulders back, just mindfully notice anything that you might be carrying. Just notice your level of maybe soreness. Just take note of it, almost like you're attending to it, acknowledging it. And then mindfully try to let go a little into a space of greater ease and comfort. As you breathe in and out, just notice the way the breath feels as it moves. You're inhaling, maybe noticing the turn of the breath as there's that turn to exhale out. You don't have to follow a strict pacing. Just follow the wave of your own breath in and a turn and then out slowly, maybe through the mouth. Just feeling the way that feels to be in this space and inviting the breath in as something that might have a quality of attention where we start to pay attention to it and we feel the way it feels to fill our lungs with breath, and also to pay attention to how our body might be feeling sitting on the chair with a greater intention on really being present for this moment, which is all we have. And when you start to show up in this space that way, I also like to use the word dignity as an anchor. How am I holding my body with dignity? So it doesn't have to be forced. I don't have to put my shoulders back in a way that's painful. But how am I holding my body so that I'm able to take in air, breathe it in, let it fill my lungs, and then feel that turn and exhale, and just show up in the space with a centered calmness. And I say that, I share this practice about showing up because I often greet the beginning of my sessions, whether it's online hosting a session or whether it's myself about to do some work that takes a serious focus and engagement. I often start with that level of connection because we don't really learn from the neck up. Being present is a full body exercise, and being able to really communicate and collaborate takes a whole presence of self. And especially in times of challenge and times of great change, our body might unwittingly be starting to clench itself from these feelings and emotions that we're carrying throughout the day. So in a sense, when I'm inviting myself to embody dignity and to be very purposeful about my mindfulness practices, it's also a way of me inviting presence in the moment and giving myself back some kindness so that I can show up to both do what I've committed to do and also to feel as if I'm enjoying the moment. And for me, I've been in many different experiences where I've been leading groups, and if I just go straight into the content and I haven't allowed myself to be present first, it shows. And they say that with mindfulness. As a leader, as a teacher, you don't have to announce that you're using mindfulness. The groups that you're working with recognize that because it gives us greater capacity, feeling as if you're able to respond rather than react to what happens in the moment. And also, maybe for me, it feels like I have more breathing space, literally and figuratively, as if I'm swimming in a giant lake as opposed to a little cup. And what starts to happen, and we'll be exploring this in some future practices, is your mind starts to really befriend the moment as a quality of opportunity over fear. I find with these activities of mindfulness practices, it has a quality of almost like surfing. The waves of what happens starts to feel like, my body feels really alive in the moment, and I start to have a greater sense of agency, greater sense of curiosity. And of course, what happens in the moment is not always positive. And I try to remind myself that it's a sign that I can't control externals, and what's coming in is an offer to respond to that challenge with a certain equanimity, as opposed to the brain's mode that might go into a panic state and then go to autopilot, as opposed to making clear decisions and feeling as if I'm responding to the opportunity of the moment. So this definitely doesn't mean that things are all wonderful. And if you like this topic, there's a book by Dan Harris called 10% Happier, where he says, I'm using mindfulness and I'm 10% happier. It's not a panacea. It's not a problem solver for all issues, but it does give you back again, a quality of life. And I think right now that's so meaningful for so many of us that are working in challenging situations. Who isn't right now, and who isn't living in a time of volatility and complexity? So I say that because we're laying the ground right now for how we approach this moment and how we come together. And for me, it's an honor to introduce this exercise. And as a closing, I would just invite you again to come right to the space in this moment right now. And with me, we'll do just 3 breaths as a closing. So just an inhalation through the nose, just letting that air fill our lungs. And as you exhale, again, feel free to just let a slight smile pass over your lips. With a second breath in, just a greater ease and an awareness of being open to this moment. We exhale all that it offers, aware that what it's offering right now is an opportunity. And with a third breath in, just inviting a spirit of gratitude to be here for this moment as we exhale. An opportunity to share, an opportunity to learn, and a chance to grow, both individually and collectively. You can come back to the breath anytime. It can serve as an anchor, just to remind you to greet each moment with ease. And using the breath can also be like an in and out of the wave, as I mentioned before, symbolically, as we ride the wave of our own breath. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to sharing more exercises with you.